Hello and welcome to another edition of the Lost in Possession Football Podcast. Three mates, three different teams, three very different opinions. This week, we've got another debate for you, back by popular demand. But this week, we keep things international, but the simple topic, it's been all over social media, caused a genuine amount of debate in various group chats. Is Southgate the one? And by the one, I mean the man to lead England to World Cup glory. Again, we've had a struggling start to the Nations League. Some people are unhappy with the style of play. On the flip side, there's arguments to say he's had a very successful tenure so far. So we'll really get into the debate. So Jamie, we'll start with you. Give us your thoughts so far on kind of Southgate, where he's at and where you see us going with
him. Going absolutely nowhere. He isn't the one. I know the song might say it, but he definitely isn't the one. I have with this World Cup, to be honest, I haven't got that high hopes. Looking at sort of the way the draw should go, it sort of looks like we'll be up against we'll be on the tough side of the draw. If you're looking at it, I think we could play like France, Brazil, someone like either of them two teams just to get to the semis. So it's kind of does look like a strong side of the draw, unless we come second like we did in the 2018 World Cup. Then it could, easing up a bit. But my problem with it is I think he's so negative. You got to look at our Euros group. What was it? Croatia, Scotland, Czech Republic. We should be beating all three of them teams and be comfortable. We scored one against Croatia, which is the hardest game in that group. 1-0, okay, nerves, you can say that. The Scotland game, we were in the pub and we had the smallest screen to watch ever, I remember. God, I'm glad I didn't actually watch that game because I watched it back and it was so dull. The pints were better than the football, with hands down. Then you had the Czech Republic game. Once again, nothing. He does nothing that actually excites you. And if you look at our attacking options, we have some very exciting players. I understand that you sort of have to have some system, but I just don't see. I think if you go with the sort of the argument for him, is he's obviously got a semi-final and a final in two competitions, which at that, if you just look at it face off like that, it's a very good record. Out of any of them games, who's been a tough opponent? Probably Germany, and that's it.
Yeah, I was going to jump in and say Germany. Obviously,
the Germany game
as well.
The Italy final, but if you look at Italy, have sort of proven they're not like a great Italian side, are they? We were at home. It does sort of add to the factor. I generally believe if we had a better manager, we would have won the Euros. We would have also got to the final in the World Cup because we were playing such an aging Croatia side who had to play 2 games in a row of extra time, then played us in extra time and beat us. With their age, you're just like, no, I actually think Southgate could actually be seen as the reason why we've not won silverware. He's cost us. Look at the sort of, you're playing 2 defensive midfielders and 5 at the back. Who honestly really does that? Anyone?
Not sure. I don't know. I'm trying to think.
I don't think there's really anyone.
Fair point. Fair point on the 5 and 2. Reece. Go on. Sorry, what were you going to say?
No. Go on. If you can't think of one, I just don't see one.
Yeah, I can't think of one of the big teams, to my knowledge, that does a 5 at the back and 2 CDMs. I'm not sure. Reece, where do you stand on this? Do you agree with Jamie? Do you disagree?
It's a good point. When he was appointed in 2016, I thought it was a smart appointment because I think England needed a coach, not necessarily a manager. Those ones that are used to old school football where they control everything. And they needed a coach to help with this new era of football where it's going. I mean, I thought it was a smart appointment. He'd been there with, the younger teams and all that. So I thought, okay, it will work. Did I think he'd be successful, as in win something? No. No, I didn't. Because his record domestically is quite, as far as I'm concerned, appalling. Other than beating Man City 8-1. The players he signed, I find it hard to believe that there was a successful player that he actually nurtured while at Middlesbrough. So I found that very hard to sort of digest, to be perfectly honest with you. But I thought he was a smart appointment for this. If you remember correctly, I thought England would get to the semis of the 2018 World Cup, and I thought they would do okay last time, and I think we'll struggle this time at the World Cup. And I think a lot of that is because he is tactically inept, and I think a lot of the players he's got are good, but I don't think. I mean, not sure how many of them are serial winners. I don't see leaders. I think is one thing that here's a big issue. Other than Henderson and maybe Maguire, I don't really see leaders that he can help drive him out of the team. So I don't know. I think he gave a lot of England fans put pressure on him. Just because he made one semi-final, you shouldn't really be putting pressure on him like that, And I think this is what's going to be his downfall. It's hard to say because I think he's done all right. 73 games, 46 wins, 11 defeats. It's impressive and it's much better than what they were used to. You think about how poor it was under Hodgson. With Kane taking corner kicks, free kicks. He's improved the team, but he hasn't got the players that are going to help deliver him success either. In my opinion, I think you can only beat what's in front of you. But I've always made it clear that the teams he's been beating are teams that should be beating. Germany in the Euros were a very poor side, a team that was fading out to bring in a new era. And look what happened. We play them, we draw. We play Italy at the weekend, a very weakened Italy side, number to a draw. Lose to Hungary, regardless what you think of the decision, still not good enough. They can give all the excuses they want. They should be winning these games comfortably, or against Hungary comfortably at least, to show what they're doing. And I don't know. I just don't think it's going to work. And I think the teams in the group are going to get in the World Cup are going to give them a really tough game.
Okay. I mean, I slightly disagree with a few bits that have been said on both sides there. I think the Nations League, obviously, we had the debate last week. Yes, we want to take it seriously, but I do think, we've got to take the Nations League results so far with a bit of a pinch of salt. It has been at the end of a long season. The players haven't had haven't had a summer break yet. They are naturally the games, the quality, the intensity of these Nations League games naturally is going to be a bit lower. Maybe if it's a World Cup, I do think the motivation and energy and all the rest of it and planning would have been much different. So I think those results so far probably should be taken with a pinch of salt. And obviously, look, if we go and beat Hungary on Tuesday, we could then, I think, depending on the other result, we could then be joint top of the group or something like that. So all of a sudden, the sort of narrative on Nations League anyway will change. In terms of the numbers, Reece, you touched on the ratio. I think it comes out as a 66% win rate so far, which isn't bad. That's kind of up there with most managers at kind of big clubs like City or whatever you'd expect to win. It's those kind of percentages you see. 176 goals scored, 56 conceded. Again, numbers-wise, you look at that and go, yeah, pretty solid. Obviously, there's been a bit of criticism that we're not so attacking, which, to be honest, Jamie, I do agree with your point on that. I do agree, we could be a little bit more open, a little bit more attacking. And I think maybe that's the frustrations of a lot of fans in recent times. They want to go and see us slap Hungary and be a bit more expansive. But as I've been saying, I've said it to a few people this week, you've got to look on the flip side. The flip side is we went to the Euros. We only conceded in the entire tournament 2 goals. Like, yes, when we could attack more, but being defensively solid is a very, very good base to build on in tournament football. Going back to Chelsea winning the Champions League last year, we only conceded 5 goals, I believe, in the entire competition. Like, it's such a good base to build on defensively and be hard to beat. Don't concede many goals. So I think you can flip it, attack versus defense on that side. Maybe, yes, that comes with a 5 at the back and 2 CDMs, but being a difficult team to break down, difficult to beat, especially when you're coming up against Germany, Italy, etc., I don't think, for me, is the worst thing ever. And again, there's another flip side to both your arguments to say, we should have got to the World Cup final, absolutely 100%. But he's taken us from a semi, in the World Cup. We've then gone on to the Euros, got to the final, a few penalty kicks away. We are progressing as a team. We are getting better as a team. And I personally think he deserves his final chance in the World Cup this year. And if we don't win it, he should step aside, in my opinion. I don't know where you guys stand on that, I know, Jamie, I guess you were slightly more sort of against him. Would you replace him before the World Cup or after? And I guess if so, who would you replace him with?
No, while he's now there, it's too close to the World Cup to do it. Like I know I criticise him. I don't think he's the man to win us a tournament. He just isn't. But it'd be stupid to sack him. It'd be like a Tottenham move where they sack their manager a week before a cup final. Like, it's just not a good option. In terms, I just want to say with Southgate and sort of you're saying with the goals and stuff, you do have to remember we sometimes do play teams like we had Panama, who we can score 6 against. Sort of like them goals do rack up, and it's not that difficult possibly to get to certain numbers like that.
Yeah, that's fair.
But with the whole sort of Southgate, I think, you got to give him the World Cup at least. But I think it depends how he does perform in this World Cup, whether he keeps his job or not. Well, yeah, I don't know, actually. I don't know what the FA thinks sometimes, to be honest. But in my sort of opinion, I think it depends how he performs, because if he goes and wins the group and doesn't look convincing like we did in the Euros, he's on very thin ice, I think, from there. And then let's say, I think it works out, we play France in the knockouts if favourites top the group and stuff, and then goes and loses sort of like, let's say, a 2-3-1, he'd have to go, because it's sort of like, that's the big time and you've just not performed. And with how you're not going to get as favourable draws as you have in the World Cup last time, and arguably the Euros as well, when you go 1-0 up after 2 minutes and then don't have another shot, I think, for another 80, which sort of sums up his style of play.
Just on that point, Jamie, sorry to cut you off. The point around the big teams, obviously the World Cup, yes, if we were to win it, we'd have to go through a very difficult route, right? But the teams we're talking about, the big teams that we're talking about, are Germany, who, in the Nations League recently, also haven't got a win in 3 games, have also looked weak. Italy, again, their only win is scraping past Hungary 2-1. They weren't that dominant. France have lost in the Nations League 1 game, drawn the other 2, and I've just seen they're 1-0 down tonight to Croatia at home in the first 5 minutes. So France, I'd consider favourites, but they're not performing at the minute either.
No, France aren't. And to be honest, they had a very poor Euros as well. Like, I'm not saying that, but it could be what you just sort of said as an excuse for England. Could be the same for France, where they're sort of after a long season and stuff like that. I think with the World Cup, you big yourself up more, and you do. So I'm not really fussed about the Nations League performances. I think it's poor. Don't get me wrong with the sort of the Hungary loss. But you also think with the Italy game, we had a weakened side, they had a weakened side, but that's kind of, I'm not really fussed. I think now's the time to actually try stuff out and see, maybe it does work, maybe it doesn't. Give a few people some minutes. Although I'd scrap it entirely and just let them have their summer break. For a manager, though, to actually come in after Southgate, I think the problem is it'd have to be a different brand of football to Southgate. I would like a serial winner, but I can't think of many that would be realistic.
Yeah, he had Capello and Sven-Goran Eriksson, they're serial winners, and they didn't achieve anything. Granted, different era, I suppose, with a lot of divide within the camp. But I don't know. It's hard to say because I'd say like Didier Deschamps, for example, is a serial winner domestically as a manager, and he's doing it. And Hansi Flick at Germany, I suppose. So yeah, there is that option. But yeah, who's available?
There is, yeah. So serial winners, who's available?
And
very little.
An English serial winner as a manager. I know you can go foreign if you like, but I would argue that sometimes for your international side, having someone who's from the country makes things a little bit easier.
I think it does if there's not a language barrier. I think that would cause more of an issue, really, in my opinion.
Yeah, 100%.
But to be honest, to be fair, my option here for the next one is English. I don't know how realistic it is because he is under sort of quite a long contract. Is Potter at Brighton? I think he plays very good football. And, well, what we always say about Brighton is, what do they need? A goal-scoring striker. And we do have one of those in Kane. Yeah. So maybe it could actually work with that. Now, I don't know how realistic it is. Brighton fans obviously won't like me saying it, but he would be someone I'd look at because he might not be the serial winner, but I just don't think there's any out there. The only actual person who I think would do it is Jose Mourinho, funnily enough. He's someone that could come and do it. He may not play the best attractive football, but he's got the track records to go with it. That's sort of what I think Southgate also lacks. In some games Jose Mourinho will park the bus and hit on the brake, but I don't see Southgate. Southgate does that against Scotland at home, playing 7 defensive like players. So yeah, I'll go with Potter if that would be my next choice. Reese?
I'm going to give you 2 names here. One, both are quite a bit left field actually, but I think I'll give you my reasons why. If I was to appoint an England manager, I know I said about, sometimes it works if they're from the same country, but yeah, you're right. It's not always the case. I think Carlo Ancelotti would be an option. The reason why is because I think Real Madrid have a habit of sacking anybody. He could end world hunger, knock Barcelona off the map and dominate every year. They'd still find a reason to sack him. Ancelotti's
haven't they? They have this year. Like, they've not been happy with him this year.
Exactly.
And he goes and wins the league and the Champions League. So it's a fair point.
If he didn't win the Champions League, he'd have been out. And that says it all.
Yeah.
So I think he's very good at maximising the potential at massive clubs. England would be classed as massive in terms of the size. Maximising the potential of what he's got there. He didn't work at Everton because I think Everton, Napoli, there's a lot of mess there, and also there's a lot of bang average players. He'd be working with a lot better players, so I think that would work in his favour a little bit more. My other choice depends how he does this season, but I think Steve Cooper at Nottingham Forest. He made his name working with the England. I think he won the World Cup with the England under-17s. I think it was him. Do correct me if I'm wrong. He's able to maximise the potential of young English players. He did the exact same thing at Nottingham Forest. Bottom of the table, didn't change anything. All them players excelled. It's absolutely extraordinary. That he maximised that potential. And I think he would do that as an England coach. He would know a lot of those players, know them very well. And I think he would really take them up a notch. But it depends how he does at Nottingham Forest this season, in the coming season, I think.
I think that's a fair point, to be fair, because it makes sort of sense with the FA doing what they did with Southgate. going, oh, he managed the younger groups, now's the senior. So, yeah, he was the under-17s winner for it. So, yeah, it's a fair point. I can't say personally I know that much about him, so I'm not going to say that's a bad option or a good option, so I don't actually know.
To be honest, I mean, all of those choices I really like. Just a quick point about kind of a few bits we didn't actually mention on Southgate, and I guess kind of managerial traits that we'd want in the next manager. He has kind of brought together more so, maybe at the World Cup and Euros. He has brought together the nation in terms of the personality, that the players, how they've interacted with each other is so different from times gone by with the so-called golden generation. Obviously, I think it was like this the first final we've been to in 30 plus years. I think it was when we got to the Euros final. So that in itself, you can see the difference he's made. So I think whoever the next manager is that comes in will need to have that ability. Jose Mourinho has obviously got it perfectly, that ability to control the media a little bit, get players kind of singing from the same hymn sheet, as it were, and making sure they're all on the same page. There's no dramas, and obviously be able to deal with big personalities. For me, the ones I kind of earmarked were, well, two you've mentioned. Potter, I like Graham Potter. Done a brilliant job at Brighton. Got them playing, as we all know, an attractive brand of football, and their XG is one of the best in the league. And that's what everyone's criticising Southgate for not being attacking enough. Potentially, Graham Potter's style will lend well to that, and we'll be creating chances that we can finish for a change. Mourinho, I mean, I'd absolutely love it. I'd absolutely love Mourinho to be the England manager. He's so like, I don't know what the word. He's so polarizing in the media. Everyone in England secretly, deep down, kind of loves him. I think even if you hate him, you love him because he's just funny. He's just entertaining, and of course, more importantly, he is a serial winner. He was tailing off a bit in his career. He's proven what he can do at Roma. I personally think he'd be a great fit for England, and I genuinely believe we could have success with him. I feel like I'm agreeing with everything you said, but I do like the Steve Cooper route as well. It fits in perfectly, as Jamie said, with the going down the youth setup. The only one you guys haven't said, and it's a bit rogue, but Zidane. I say that because one, it could actually happen because he's out of work at the minute. But a guy like that, anyone who's got the balls in a World Cup final to headbutt someone and Panenka penalty, you can't. He'll walk in the dressing room and command respect from day one.
I don't know if that's a role model to look up to, someone headbutting in a final. But
yeah, I'm sure the players won't follow in his footsteps by doing that. But you get the point. He's a serial winner. You'd respect him from minute one walking in the dressing room. And ultimately, he's been very successful so far in his managerial career. So I think that's a bit of a left field one that could potentially work, but maybe it's unlikely. I don't know.
I think that one is. I think out of the ones we've mentioned, I think that's the most unrealistic.
Yeah,
I think he's for nothing else. Yeah,
it's got apart from he hasn't got a job. I think he's got absolutely no ties to England, if that makes sense.
No, it wouldn't.
So to come and straight go, I'm England manager, I think just doesn't do it. I don't see it ever happening. Obviously, I know we're
Fabio Capello didn't though, did he? If you think of the teams he managed.
But I feel like they're kind of learning from that, if that makes sense. So that's where where you sort of said the Steve Cooper route, that one makes sense due to the fact he's managed the younger group.
Yeah.
It's sort of, I think it has to be someone that the FA actually know properly about.
What about David Moyes? Do you think he would ever go for it? As a Scotsman, I know that's unlikely, but do you think, I'm surprised he's never actually gone for the national job himself in Scotland.
It might be just, I don't know.
I think potentially.
He can be really hit and miss, though. That's the problem, I think.
Yeah.
Sort of, mate, you're probably right with the Scottish thing where he wouldn't actually go for the England job. I think he enjoys it too much to be like a club manager rather than wait around for most of the year for the internationals. If we're going like proper left field, I know you sort of said Zidane, and this would not be my choice, but Pep is looking for an international career, I think, at some point. It might not be now. Like, I'm hoping it's not now. I'm hoping it's, to be fair, I hope it's never in stays at City. But you also got to think, we are signing quite a few English players, so they're going to know him and stuff.
Got a quota to make. That's why.
I was
Got a quota to make, isn't
Yeah,
he?
we've got a quota.
But to be fair, he has broadened his horizons actually quite well with that.
I think that'd be interesting. The two I was going to throw out there as just rogue ones were Klopp and Pep. Just like imagine the scenes. I think everyone would love it.
Do Germany though? He'd be the Germany. Like if he's going to go that direction, he's not going to go England. Whereas Pep, I don't think really wouldn't mind doing another different country. He's already been linked with the Brazil job, which is something. Obviously, he's Spanish, so Spain's another one. But the fact is, he's sort of. I know you got obviously reset the quota, but it's still something that sort of he is buying. He's obviously got. He tried to sign Kane, didn't get. I think and then we're linked with like Phillips as well. So it's kind of like we would have like a good strong base at City that's already been under him.
I've got another couple of suggestions actually. First of all, would Wenger do it?
Well, he has just come back from retirement and won a trophy. Spurs are still trying to win one. He's retired, put his feet up, come back and won one. Spurs fans, obviously, I think, got a lot of memes this morning about that.
I reckon he would go for it if the right offer came along, even if it was just for a year or two.
I think it would suit him, to be honest.
It would be his sort of thing.
To be honest,
I think to be the coach, and also I think due to sort of obviously his age, it's so long doing a whole full season, which is why sort of like it's a slight argument against Pep, because I think Pep would go mad just waiting around. He wants to be proper involved. I think now at sort of Wenger's age, an international team is probably good for him. And being in England for so long at Arsenal, he has technically the ties to England. So that's not a bad idea, considering he's also out of a job. But I don't know, is he not a part of something to do with FIFA?
Yeah, that's why I thought it'd be a conflict of interest. But I reckon it was something he would leave his role for.
He'd have to just. All he'd have to do is just resign. That would be it. So I think that could actually happen if he ever got asked.
All right, I've got another two names, and this is one I think who would be realistic depending on how the next season goes. And I think one would have it more earlier than the other. Steven Gerrard and Frank Lampard.
Yes.
He's saying Frank Lampard would likely get it before Gerrard, because I think Gerrard will want Liverpool first.
He would want Liverpool first. I do believe that.
I'll see that again 5 years down the line. I'd be happy again with both. Lampard's always got that. Well, obviously he's English and he's always good at bringing youth through. And I think
would suit Lampard.
He'd relish that role. Same with Gerrard, to be honest. I think he'd do a good job. There's a lot of names here. There's a lot of names.
My sort of problem with them too, to be honest, I was never in the sort of camp or anything. Who was the one causing problems? Do they still have that chip on the shoulder of when they were playing? Is the problem. If there was sort of like the dressing room didn't get on, is that still gonna be slightly their vibe? Like, say Gerrard, for example, I don't like United. I'm not gonna pick United players, or I'm gonna disadvantage them in some sort of way. Maybe he won't do that, but if you're having that bitter rivalry while you're playing, I don't think that rivalry goes away. There's still something in your mind with it.
Yeah, I don't think Lampard would ever do that. I don't. He's proven out throughout his career, both as a player and a manager. He's a professional, so I don't personally think that would
I think
cloud any judgment.
both are professional, but both were professionals, and they went to England, and they've all admitted afterwards we didn't get along due to club rivalries.
Times have changed, I suppose, though.
Yeah.
They would see it differently because they wouldn't have that attachment anymore. They would go in there knowing they're the coach. And I don't think they'd be like, oh, sorry, Pickford, I'm not picking you because you play for Everton.
I know it is a bit dramatic kind of thing.
No other choice. But
I don't know if it's sort of like they've caused the sort of, I can't think of the word, sort of bad sort of vibes, I guess, is a word. I wanted a better word. I couldn't think of one. And then it brings up old memories, and then you go back to your old ways. That's the only thing I can sort of think of.
I can imagine.
I do see one of the two getting the job.
Yeah.
I do see that down the line.
Yeah, I think Lampard, like Jordan's right, would be more flexible than Gerrard. I think Gerrard would be a little bit more strict in his ways about the way to go about things. But I think as well, they would pick players regardless of the club. I mean, the goalkeeper plays for Everton, so he's got, other than that, he's got real no choice. But he doesn't exactly need to pick Everton players, does he?
No.
They are.
To be fair, I meant, well, actually, at the moment, they're useless and all, Man United. That's what I meant more.
Yeah, so he wouldn't exactly be that bothered, I suppose, would he? But
no, at the moment, it's perfect. Get him in. It's fine.
There wouldn't be any bias needed. No, I think they would be very reasonable shouts, what they are. But I don't know. I mean, maybe they'll appoint one of Southgate's coaching team, which I think we could actually address there. Does he need to bring in someone who can guide him a little bit during the World Cup?
I think he's got a good support staff. I mean, admittedly, I don't know the whole backroom team, I'll be honest, but I don't think there's anyone in particular who is such a good sort of technical, or what would you call them, I guess, second
assistant manager,
yeah. So there's no one that screams to my mind as an obvious replacement or choice for that. I don't know if you have anyone in mind, but I think
I wouldn't.
No, I think the coaching staff's fine. It's just like
Steve Holland's his assistant, I think.
Yeah, I think Steve Holland's got a history at us as well. He's had a lot of success at Chelsea, so
maybe he just needs to bring someone in to help change the mentality a little bit. I suppose maybe someone who might be a little bit tactically better. It's hard to say because you can't exactly say to Potter, do you want to be an assistant during the World Cup? Because one, he's not. If he has to sacrifice his role at Brighton, he's not going to go for it.
No.
But something like that could be a good step or a good way of helping to learn. This is where I think you could probably get in an experienced coach just to see if they could be an advisor. Ralph Rangnick, for example. But,
don't.
But I don't know. That might be just what it is. It might just be maybe a new addition to the coaching team that can help get him over the line. But yeah, it's quite a strange one. It's a good and bad thing for England, I think. They can work out what they want to do, but also they don't need to be under pressure much to make change, because if England fans honestly think that they should be winning these tournaments, they come on, got
to win something eventually.
You won the Euros.
Yeah,
they should have done.
This is the thing. For everyone, for everything that everyone said about Southgate bad, the reality is we were a couple of kicks away from winning the Euros, first trophy in 66 years. So when you put it like that, personally, I do think people are a little bit quick to criticise because it's the national team, and people are a little bit quick to overreact.
Yeah, they're being very unfair. They're being
one game away from the World Cup final, a couple of penalty kicks away, and a coin flip away from winning the Euros.
Yeah,
that's not bad. I think
he's putting unrealistic expectations on. I think it's just, if we go out of the group stage of the World Cup, disappointing from where they've been, but probably still better than most of the teams that they've had over the years. So
you're saying it's unrealistic to win a trophy for England?
Well, I
Or
don't
you
think they were
shouldn't.
going to win it anyway, but like to be expecting that they're going to win when they've not won anything since '66, like, come on. You just need to
Yeah.
accept that there are better countries than us, that there are many, many better than us. Even now, I would say, even
I
teams
don't
like
think
Germany that are in
I don't think there are that many though. I don't see there being that many who are.
but on the
There
continent.
are some. There are some. I'm not
Yeah.
saying we're
I think that's where we'd lose.
Yeah. I think at the end of the day, I don't think we're far off any of the teams in the world whatsoever. I think France probably have the deepest squad, but as we've seen in recent times, they're still pretty useless, and not useless, but in the Nations League as an example so far, they've been absolutely awful.
We're at the best possible position in the sense that most of the major countries are in transition periods. Germany, Italy, France, for example. And if they don't take advantage of it now, it's just going to become impossible in 4 years' time, 6, wherever. This is their best chance to do it. I know that's a lot of pressure to put on someone, but when everyone else around you is trying to get back to where they were and they're better than, they've improved considerably, it's a problem if they don't take advantage of that.
Yeah. All right. And just as a little quick conclusion, we'll go through each of us. What does Southgate need to do to keep his job beyond this World Cup? Jamie, start with you.
That's a tough one. I think he's got to beat one of the big sides at least. If we play France, go and beat them, have a decent group. Sort of, I think we should be winning 3 out of the 3 of the group stages with at least one comfortable win. And that should actually, one comfortable win. That's against probably Iran. And then go and beating a big side, and then narrowly losing to another big side.
Okay. Reece?
Yeah, it's a tough one. I think it'll be the manner of the performances that will do it. I think he's going to walk away regardless. Even if he wins it, I think he would walk away because you're better off ending it on a high. I think this will be his last one, but it's hard to say. I mean, even if they get to a semi-final and lose, I can see sort of saying that we've tried. It's, we're just not going to get over the line. It is hard and it's horrible because he's probably going to have to win it to prove everybody wrong or get to a World Cup final, which they haven't done, to at least say. And I think that's a horrible position to be in because I think that's so unfair.
Yeah.
But I don't see him being there regardless.
I agree with that. I was going to say he has to win it. And although that's ridiculously harsh on him, I think for me, if he wins it, it's undeniable. He'll go down as the greatest ever purely because it's a World Cup for England. But if he doesn't win it, I think not because I've made my opinions clear, not because he's bad, but I think for me, having one chance at the World Cup, chance at the Euros, and another chance at a second World Cup, for me, I think if you've had 3 good attempts, you've had a good, what would it be? 6 years in charge. I think for me, at that point, it's probably fair for him to just step aside and say, look, I've done my best. I've improved the squad. I've tried, but can't do the job, and maybe just give someone else a go. I think that's probably fair. Well, it sounds harsh that he's got to win the World Cup to keep his job. That's just ridiculous. But yeah.
Who are we? Perez, Fiorentina Perez.
Yeah. I mean,
but it is, unfortunately, it is the nature of the beast for him. The England national team has an era, doesn't it? You can only get a certain amount to it before you have to change it all over again. And this is like his one.
Well, there you have it. That wraps us up for another edition. As always, let us know your thoughts. It's caused a lot of controversy this week. People are genuinely torn between sticking with Southgate and maybe letting him go. As always, like, comment, and subscribe. You know the drill.
Here we go.